Greetings to all of my fellow Trinity alums. My name is Whitney Ball, class of 2016, and I am joining you today from Washington, D.C. To talk a little bit about my own story, specifically around mental health. So we are in the middle of a global pandemic. We are facing a crazy election year, and on top of that, we're now having to deal with back to school. And so I believe now more than ever, it's so important for us to focus on our mental health and our emotional well-being. I currently work for a national nonprofit focused on mental health education and advocacy called Mental Health America. I'm also working on my master's in social work, and in what little free time I have, I run a blog and social media presence called A Cup of Chaos, where I open up very honestly about my mental health challenges that I'm facing in my personal life, specifically around my anxiety and how I try to cope with that day to day. A little backstory. I graduated Trinity in 2016. I got a job in San Antonio. I was excited to jump into the adult world and big time job and all of that. And about 6 months in, I really started to struggle. And I honestly didn't know what was going on at the time. I thought maybe, okay, something physically is wrong with me because I was dealing with a lot of shortness of breath. I was having a lot of trouble sleeping. So I immediately went to, oh, something's physically wrong with me. I didn't even think about my mental health at first. But during this time, while I'm really struggling, I'm scrolling through my social media all the time like a good millennial, and I'm noticing that it seems like everyone else is figuring it out and is thriving in life and doing so well. And I started to feel really alone. I started to question my own worth. I started thinking, okay, what's wrong is that you can't handle life, plain and simple, and you don't have the strength to kind of face the challenges of the real world. And it really weighed heavy on me, and I felt really alone. And I just didn't know what was wrong with me. Why couldn't I deal with life and what was happening? It took about 1.5 years for me to finally figure everything out and realize that what I was dealing with was actually anxiety. And it was at that time, after I got the official diagnosis, that I realized, okay, well, more people need to be talking about this because no one should feel as alone as I did. And people should be more upfront about their challenges so that we can all kind of face them together. And it was then that I created A Cup of Chaos because I really wanted to normalize the conversation around struggle and really talk more openly about mental health so that people knew that, hey, if you're dealing with something, you're not alone, and we are all kind of trying to cope through life. And despite how everyone's kind of putting their highlights on social media, I wanted people to come across my page and see it's not all highlights, it's not all happy moments. It's okay if you're feeling down, it's okay if you are feeling anxious. There's a lot on your plate, everyone's dealing with their own stuff. So my goal of the page was just to really create a community that people could feel and see someone in real life dealing with this. And if it's a crying picture that I post or a video about how I have no motivation to get anything done, I just want people to be reminded that we're all facing our own stuff and to really normalize and openly talk about all of the mental health challenges. I get asked a lot because I am so open about my mental health struggles, what can I do for my mental health? I'm also struggling right there with you. And my first thing is always be like, same, you're not alone. But I think becoming more open about your mental health really starts with yourself and acknowledging to yourself the emotions that you're feeling. I always encourage people who follow me to do a daily check-in with their emotions. We get so good at ignoring what we're really feeling and shoving those emotions down. So if you're trying to be more open about your mental health, if you're trying to really understand what's going on with yourself, take that time to recognize how you're feeling. If you don't, for me, I didn't do that for so long, and I just kept trying to show up day after day and just pretend like things were okay. And then I started having panic attacks because I refused to acknowledge what was really going on. So those emotions will find a way out. So if you give them yourself that outlet to really understand what's going on, then you're going to have a much easier time trying to move past them. I think my second thing I tell people all the time is find someone that you can turn to when you aren't okay, because verbalizing it is so helpful. I called my mom up yesterday, a fellow Trinity alum, and I was just like, I am not okay. And it was so great to be able to just put that out there, because we remove the shame, we remind ourselves that it's okay to not be okay by verbalizing when we are struggling. And so make sure you have that person that you can talk to when things aren't going well. With all of that said, I think it's just so important now more than ever to tune into your mental health. If you're looking for a reminder that it's okay to not be okay, to struggle, I'm there for you, constantly posting about my day-to-day challenges and trying to be as open as I can about my anxiety and mental health struggles. So feel free to follow along. I hope all of you are staying safe and healthy, both physically and mentally, during these challenging and weird times. And I hope that I can see you online soon. Thanks.